And when I go in the gym that time, all the wrestlers was in the same gym.
He was called a giant, but the world only saw the size. Andre the Giant could fill an arena with one step, yet he often felt alone when the lights went off. From wrestling fame to movie moments, his life looked larger than life. Fans cheered, kids stared, and promoters made him a legend. But behind the smiles were long road trips, constant pain, and a private heart that very few people knew. He had close bonds, big crushes, and relationships that still get talked about today, even many years later. So what really happened when the cameras stopped rolling? Andre's story is not just wrestling, it's also love, loss, and the people who mattered. Join us as we start at the beginning and follow the relationships that shaped him. A giant child named Dede. Andre René Roussimoff was born on May 19, 1946, in Coulommiers, Seine-et-Marne, France. His parents were immigrants. His father was Boris Roussimoff, who was Bulgarian, and his mother was Marianne Roussimoff-Stoeff, who was Polish. He was raised Catholic, and he grew up in a big family with 2 older siblings and 2 younger ones. As a kid, people already noticed he was different. His childhood nickname was Dede, and at birth he weighed 13 pounds, which is a lot for any baby. As he grew, he showed signs of gigantism. He was often described as a good head taller than other kids, and his hands were unusually long. In a TV interview in the 1970s, Andre said his mother was 5 feet 2 inches tall and his father was 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he also shared something that made people's jaws drop. His father told him that Andre's grandfather was 7 feet 8 inches tall. By the time Andre was 12 years old, he stood about 6 feet 3 inches. That kind of growth could sound like a superpower, but it also meant he stood out everywhere he went. And even before the world knew the name Andre the Giant, the story of how a quiet French kid became a global attraction was already starting to take shape. The years he worked like 3 men. In school, Andre was an average student, but he was good at mathematics. Still, he did not see school as his future. When he was 14, he decided he would not continue his education and join the workforce because he believed what he had learned was enough to work as a farmhand. In France at the time, compulsory education rules did not apply to those aged 14 or older, so he did not drop out in the way people imagine. He simply chose work. He spent years working on his father's farm in Molière, and his brother Jacques later said Andre could do the work of 3 men. He also tried other paths. He did an apprenticeship in woodworking, and after that, he worked in a factory that made engines for hay balers. But none of it brought him real satisfaction. It was like he had the strength, but not the place to put it. And there is one detail from his childhood that always surprises people. While Andre was growing up in the 1950s, the Irish playwright Samuel Beckett sometimes drove local children to school, including Andre and his siblings. It is such a small moment, but it shows how normal parts of life still happened around him, even as his body grew bigger than the world around him. And soon, he would leave that small world behind for something that would change his life fast. Paris training nights and hard day. Jobs. At 18, Andre moved to Paris, and this is where the path became clear. A local promoter named Robert Laguerre taught him professional wrestling after recognizing the earning potential of Andre's size. Andre trained at night and worked as a mover during the day just to pay his living expenses. Early on, he was billed as Géant Ferré, a name based on the Picardian folk hero Grand Ferré, and later the name became Jean Ferré. In 1966, Canadian promoter and wrestler Frank Valois met Andre, and years later, Valois would become Andre's business manager and advisor. Andre began wrestling in his native France, and he made his TV debut that same year on French national television against Le Petit Prince. In 1968, he defeated Frans van Buiten for the FFCP World Heavyweight Championship. In 1969, he appeared on the United Kingdom's World of Sport program and defeated Jim Hussey, who is known as the father of Mark Rocco. Around this time, Andre also started building his name in places far from home. wrestling in Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and Africa. The pattern was already forming. Every new country gave him more attention, and every new crowd asked the same question: who could possibly stop him? And that question would become even louder the moment he stepped into Japan. Monster Roussimoff and the road around the world. In 1970, Andre made his Japanese debut for the International Wrestling Enterprise, billed as Monster Roussimoff. He wrestled as a singles competitor and in tag teams, and he quickly became the IWA World Tag Team Champion alongside Michael Nador. During his time in Japan, doctors first told him he suffered from acromegaly, a hormonal disorder linked to excess growth hormone, and in Andre's case, it was connected to gigantism. Not long after, he moved to Montreal in 1971 and became an immediate success, regularly selling out the Montreal Forum. But there was a problem that only a giant could have. Promoters started running out of believable opponents for him. As the novelty wore off, the gate receipts began to drop. That same year, he was defeated by Adnan Al-Qaisi in Baghdad, and he also worked in the American Wrestling Association as a special attraction. Then came a turning point in 1973 when Vincent J. McMahon, founder of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, became Andre's agent. McMahon reshaped Andre's presentation to boost his star power. He wanted Andre to feel like a huge, immovable monster, and he discouraged him from doing agile moves like drop kicks, even though Andre could do them before his health declined later on. McMahon also gave him the name the world would never forget, Andre the Giant. He set up a travel-heavy schedule and lent Andre to promotions around the world so he would not become overexposed in one area. Promoters had to guarantee Andre a set amount of money and also pay McMahon's WWF booking fee. On the 24th of March, 1973, Andre debuted in the WWF as a fan favorite in Philadelphia, defeating Frank Valois and Bull Pometti in a handicap match. 2 days later, he debuted at Madison Square Garden in New York, defeating Buddy Wolf. The legend was growing and the road was getting longer, and soon the price of living inside that legend would start to show. A superstar run while his body paid the price. Through the 1970s and early 1980s, Andre was one of wrestling's most beloved heroes. Gorilla Monsoon often said he had not been defeated in 15 years by pinfall or submission before WrestleMania 3, even though Andre did have losses and unusual results outside of the WWF, plus famous long matches that ended as draws. He also had big moments that showed how special attraction really meant special. In 1976, at the second showdown at Shea, Andre fought professional boxer Chuck Wepner in an unscripted boxer versus wrestler fight, which ended when Andre threw Wepner over the top rope and won by countout. In 1980, he feuded with Hulk Hogan when Hogan was the villain and Andre was the hero, and after Andre pinned him to win, Hogan body slammed him, an image that echoed what fans would later connect to their most famous clash. Around 1981, a storyline feud with Killer Khan claimed Khan snapped Andre's ankle during a match in Rochester, New York. But in reality, Andre had broken his ankle getting out of bed the morning before. After time in Beth Israel Hospital in Boston, he returned for payback, including a Madison Square Garden match on July 20th, 1981, that ended in a double disqualification, and later a big win in Philadelphia, in a match billed as a Mongolian stretcher match. By 1984, Vince McMahon was expanding the WWF nationally and required exclusivity, and Andre signed on, though he was still allowed to work in Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He feuded with Big John Studd over who the true giant was, and in 1984, Studd and Ken Patera even knocked Andre out in a televised tag match and cut his hair. At the first WrestleMania on March 31st, 1985, at Madison Square Garden, Andre won a body slam challenge, slammed Studd, collected the $15,000 prize, and threw money to the fans until Studd's manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, got involved. Around this time, Andre asked for time off to focus on his health as the effects of acromegaly were taking a toll. A storyline suspension followed, and when he returned, he wore a mask as the Giant Machine in the Machines group, with WWF announcers acting like they did not know who he was. It was obvious to fans, and that was the point. Andre was still a star, even behind a mask. And while wrestling kept calling, he also stepped into acting in a way that gave fans a different look at him. Love, rumors, and a life kept quiet. Outside the ring, Andre's life was often talked about, but much of it was still hidden. In 1974, he was mentioned in the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest-paid wrestler in history, earning about $400,000 a year, which is a massive number for that era. But a lot of that money went into making life workable in a world that was too small for him. Custom needs, travel challenges, and constant adjustments. Andre's condition was acromegaly, and people later explained it as excess growth hormone from the pituitary gland. His size made daily life hard. Andre once said, "They don't build anything for a giant." He described needing a pencil to use old-style phone dials, and he spoke about travel too. He was on the road around 300 days a year, and flying could be so difficult that he could not fit into an airplane lavatory and had to use a bucket. Unless he had a customized van, long car rides could leave his back and neck stiff for hours. The attention was also heavy. He said, "People want to be my friend because of my size. They want to take advantage of me. I don't like that." Some details about his exact height and weight stayed uncertain too. Wrestling billed him as 7'4", but exaggeration was common. His French passport listed a height that converts to just under 7'2", and people have debated whether he was around 7 feet or a few inches shorter. His weight was also described in wildly different ways, from the high 300s to well over 500. His health struggles and habits became part of the myth as well. He was once called the greatest drunk on earth, with stories of huge drinking feats. On Late Night with David Letterman on January 23, 1984, Andre said he once drank 117 beers, and he also said he had quit drinking beer 14 months before that appearance. Other wrestlers told even bigger stories, and people repeated them for years, including an urban legend about a 1987 surgery where some say doctors used his alcohol tolerance as a guide for anesthesia dosing. Andre also had a serious heart issue, severe pericardial effusion, and he underwent a pericardiocentesis at Duke University Hospital in the 1980s. And then there is the part fans keep asking about most: love. Andre was never openly public about marriage, and reports differ on whether it was official. He had a long, significant connection with Jean Christensen, a model who worked in wrestling public relations. Some accounts say they married in Canada, but that the paperwork was not registered in the United States. Either way, she became the mother of his only child. Their relationship began in 1974, and their daughter, Robin Christensen, was born in 1979. Andre believed he was infertile, so they took a paternity test, which proved Robin was his biological child. He was also seen in public with girlfriends at times, like in August 1981 when he was photographed taking his girlfriend, Seneca Ray, on a horse-drawn carriage ride through Central Park, and the two were also documented having lunch together at Dede. People sometimes described him as a ladies' man, especially during his Montreal years. But even then, his romantic life stayed mostly private, almost like he wanted the world to see the giant, but not the man behind him. And that is exactly why the next parts of his story hit so hard. The lonely side of fame, and the one place he felt equal. By the late 1980s, Andre was not just famous. He was impossible to miss, and that fame made normal life complicated. Even when he was calm, people stared. Some people wanted a story, others wanted a photo, and some wanted to get close to him for the wrong reasons. Andre admitted this feeling was heavy. He told Sports Illustrated that when he went to homes with small children, the kids would sometimes run from him, even if they had seen him on TV. He said he understood why, but it still felt sad. He even admitted it to People magazine. "I don't really have too many friends." That line tells you a lot. This was a man who could fill a room with his body, but still feel alone in it. And when someone lives like that, you start to understand why the few people he trusted mattered so much, and why it meant everything when he finally found a place where people treated him like a person first. When Andre joined the cast of The Princess Bride, it became more than just a movie job. It became a rare place where he felt normal. Mandy Patinkin later said that on that set, Andre felt equal to everyone because they treated him like a human being, not a special attraction. The role was Fezzik, and writer William Goldman and director Rob Reiner thought Andre was the perfect fit. Reiner even admitted something funny about the audition. He said they gave Andre a 3-page scene to read, and Reiner did not understand a word he said, but Andre still got the part. The truth is, Andre proved himself on screen, but the filming was not easy. His back was bothering him, and stunts were hard. There was a moment where he was supposed to catch Robin Wright, but he could not, so the crew used cables to make her feel weightless. Andre was also lifted with cables in a scene where he had to ride a horse because his size made it difficult. Robin Wright later remembered meeting him and being scared at first. She said, "The largest human being on the earth was in front of me. Yes, I was petrified." But she also said he was genuinely sweet, and she shared a small story from filming. They were freezing in the rain in a forest, and she did not have an overcoat. Andre was always hot, even in a tank top, and he warmed her by placing his hand on her head. The film came out in 1987 and became a box office hit and a cult classic. Andre was so proud of it that he often traveled with a videotape and loved holding screenings. And yet, even with that success, the outside world still followed him, and it did not always treat him gently. The night it went too far in Cedar Rapids. Andre's behavior usually did not reach a point where police were needed, but one incident in 1989 did. On August 21, 1989, he was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at the Five Seasons Center. A local KCRG-TV cameraman, Ben Hildebrandt, was filming Andre wrestling, and Andre confronted him for filming without permission. According to Hildebrandt, Andre slapped him upside the head and broke the camera, and the cameraman pressed charges. Police officers came to arrest Andre for assault and criminal mischief, and the scene was tense because the officers were nervous. Andre first refused to go, but the officers talked him into going voluntarily. In a detail that sounds unreal but was reported, they even used leg shackles as handcuffs. Andre was booked and released on bail. In the end, he was acquitted on the assault charge, but he was fined $100 for criminal mischief and ordered to pay KCRG $233 for damage to equipment. It is a small moment compared to his whole life, but it shows something real. Andre carried a lot: pain, pressure, and people crossing lines. And when someone keeps pushing at you long enough, even a gentle person can snap. Still, the people who truly knew him kept saying the same thing, that this was not who he was at his core. And one story from a writer who worked with him makes that clearer than anything. The stories that showed his true nature. William Goldman, the author of the novel and screenplay of The Princess Bride, wrote something powerful about Andre in his nonfiction book, Which Lie Did I Tell? He said Andre was one of the gentlest and most generous people he ever knew. Goldman explained that when Andre ate with someone at a restaurant, he would pay. And not only that, even if Andre was a guest, he still insisted on paying. That tells you how he cared, in his own way. Goldman also shared a famous moment involving Arnold Schwarzenegger and Wilt Chamberlain. One time, after Andre had dinner with them, Schwarzenegger quietly went to the cashier to pay before Andre could. But Andre and Chamberlain noticed. Then Schwarzenegger found himself being physically lifted, carried from the table, and deposited on top of his car by Andre and Chamberlain. It is funny, but it also shows the point. Andre was strong enough to do almost anything, but he used that strength for jokes, not harm. And he wanted to take care of people around him. That matches what others said too. Bob Orton once talked about Andre dating his sister, Rhonda Orton, and he described Andre in simple words that stick. He said Andre was a phenomenal fellow, a guy who could do whatever he wanted, but he never used his size or strength to suppress anybody. He called him a big old nice friendly giant. Hearing that, you start to see the pattern. The public saw a giant. The people close to him saw a man who tried to be kind. And when a man like that gets tired of the spotlight, you can guess where he would want to go. The ranch in North Carolina and a quiet kind of happiness. Away from the arenas and cameras, Andre had a place that felt like peace. He owned a ranch in Larrabee, North Carolina. Two close friends looked after it, and when Andre was not on the road, he loved being there. He tended to his cattle, played with his dogs, and entertained friends. This is the version of Andre many people forget. Not the wrestling giant, but the guy who just wanted a normal day, with animals, food, and a few trusted faces. People often told wild stories that everything in his home was custom-made because of his size. But the stories were said to be exaggerated. There were custom-made chairs and some modifications to help him, but not every single thing was built from scratch, the way legends claim. Another detail shows how fame trapped him in small ways. Because he could not easily go shopping due to his size and public attention, he was known to spend hours watching and buying things from QVC, the shopping channel. Imagine that. A world-famous star stuck at home, watching TV, ordering items because walking into a store was not simple. It makes his life feel human, not mythical, and it also helps explain why close connections mattered so much to him, especially with family. Because while crowds loved him, there was one relationship that weighed on him in a different way: the night in Paris and the wishes he left behind. On the morning of 28th January 1993, Andre died in his sleep at a Paris hotel. He was 46 years old. The cause was congestive heart failure and an apparent heart attack, likely connected to his untreated acromegaly. His death is often incorrectly listed as January 27th, but it happened on January 28th. The night before, on January 27th, Andre visited Moulin and played cards with some of his oldest friends. After that, he returned to his hotel room around 1 a.m. Central European Time. About 12 hours later that afternoon, hotel management and his chauffeur found him dead in his room. Andre was in Paris to attend his father's funeral. He had also decided to extend his stay to be with his mother on her birthday. In his will, Andre specified that his remains should be cremated and disposed of. His family in France originally planned a funeral intending to bury him near his father. But when they learned of his wishes, they followed what he wanted. His body was flown to the United States, where he was cremated, and his ashes were scattered at his ranch in Larrabee, North Carolina. In the same will, Andre left his estate to his daughter Robin, making her his sole beneficiary because he wanted her to be financially secure. It is a quiet ending for someone so huge. And yet, even after he was gone, his name did not fade. In many ways, his legacy only got louder. But for one person, his loss was not about fame at all. It was personal. The daughter he could not fully reach. Andre's daughter Robin, and the story of their relationship is emotional because it was complicated. A longtime friend, Jackie McCauley, said not getting to know Robin was something Andre greatly regretted. Jackie said, "It broke his heart. It absolutely broke his heart that they couldn't spend more time together." Robin herself opened up about this in 2016 on the WrestleZone radio podcast. She said she was not on the road with her dad. She explained that Andre kept her as far away from that industry as possible. She said they unfortunately did not have a great relationship. And a big reason was simple. He was away so much. She also said her mom and Andre did not get along, which made things harder. Still, Robin made something clear that matters. She said, "He never tried to exclude us in any way. We always had a phone number where we could reach him and that sort of thing." She also said Andre tried to be part of her life despite the challenges, including supporting her expenses through child support. After Andre died, Robin spent a lot of time learning about him by talking to his former colleagues and people who knew him. That search seems to have brought her some peace. It is heartbreaking because it shows a man who was adored by millions, but still could not fully live the family life he wanted. And when a story like that gets told out loud, it changes how people remember him, not just as a giant, but as a human being, the giant's shadow that never left. In 1993, when the World Wrestling Federation created the WWF Hall of Fame, Andre the Giant was the inaugural and sole inductee in the class of 1993. That tells you how important he was to the business. People later described him as one of the most recognizable figures in the world, not only as a wrestler, but as a pop culture icon. Outside wrestling, many people know him best as Fezzik in The Princess Bride. His influence spread in many directions. He inspired the 1998 film My Giant, written by his friend Billy Crystal, who had met him during the filming of The Princess Bride. In the wrestling world, Paul White, known as Big Show, was said to be the most similar in body structure to Andre after Andre's death. Big Show was even billed as Andre's son during his WCW time, even though there was no biological relationship. Big Show also had acromegaly, but unlike Andre, he got surgery on his pituitary gland in the early 1990s, which successfully halted the progress of his condition. Andre's shadow also appeared in documentaries and books that tried to tell his story in full. In 1999, A&E Biography aired an episode titled Andre the Giant, Larger Than Life, covering his childhood, early career, acromegaly struggles, personal life, and final years, with interviews from his brother Jacques, wrestling names, and hometown friends. In 2018, HBO aired a documentary film called Andre the Giant. Books also kept his story alive, including the 2014 graphic novel Andre the Giant, The Life and the Legend, and a 2020 biography titled The Eighth Wonder of the World, The True Story of Andre the Giant. Even street art carried his face forward. Shepard Fairey's Obey brand icon came from wheat paste posters based on a photo of Andre found in a newspaper. His influence even reached video games, with Capcom's character Hugo being based on him. WWE also created a tradition in his name. On March 10, 2014, Hulk Hogan announced the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, held at WrestleMania 30, with a trophy made in Andre's likeness. Cesaro won that match on April 6, 2014 after eliminating Big Show with a body slam, similar to the famous one fans remember. And one more detail brings it back to the personal side. Ronda Orton, who was part of the Orton wrestling family and also known for appearing on WWE programming, later appeared on WWE's Most Wanted Treasures and spoke as one of Andre's friends, sharing personal memories from the mid to late 1970s. Back when he did not speak English fluently yet. It is a reminder that behind every headline, there were real people who knew him, cared about him, and stayed close. And those connections are where the most meaningful parts of his story still live. So before you go, think about this for a second. Which moment in Andre's story made you see him as a real person, not just a wrestling legend? And why did that part hit you? And when you hear stories like Ronda Orton's, what do you think mattered more to Andre in the end, the fame or the few people who treated him like family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.